Closes. England are in the final stages of their preparation for their World Cup qualifier against Andorra on Saturday, but Thomas Tuchel has been forced into some drastic changes to his midfield for this camp. Jude Bellingham, Adam Wharton and Cole Palmer are all sidelined with injuries, so Elliot Anderson could win his first senior cap after winning the Under-21 Euros in the summer. Anderson says his performances in that tournament was what persuaded Tuchel to give him a chance.
Well, I first heard from him after the Crystal Palace game. He came to the game and he sort of spoke to me and says what he likes in me and that I possibly might get a call up. So, yeah, I was over the moon with that. Yeah, I was buzzing, and then I sort of got the news on the Friday morning that I was going to be included at the training ground. So, yeah, I went out to training with a smile on my face. Indy obviously came to the Euros and watched me, and he just told me to do what I did at the Euros, really, and be myself, really, when I come here and bring the energy. So I'll try.
Well, Anderson admitted that the competition for places is incredibly tough, with Tuchel also recalling Ruben Loftus-Cheek to the squad. Anderson, however, said he's willing to play anywhere to try and help the team.
There's some top players in this position, and it's a privilege to be called up in this position. So no, yeah, it's really good to be competing with players like these, and yeah, I think it'll bring out the best in my game. So definitely, I think I'll bring energy, and I like to get on the ball, and physicality as well. I'll cover the ground. So yeah, I think I'll bring a few things to the team, not just one thing. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, after all the ESAC questions, I'm sure it then quickly shifted to all things England. And midfield has been a topic, hasn't it? A hot topic for these two games. Does Tuchel have a bit of a headache in terms of balancing his midfield?
Definitely, Matt. He absolutely has that. And we produced that stat on Sky Sports News yesterday that says Tuchel has used 13 different midfield players in his 4 matches in charge so far in his 2 camps. Now, they haven't all played, but those are the players he's called up to the squad, 13 different midfield players. So that tells you that he's clutching at something, he's striving to try and get some answers there. And this felt like a big camp for Tuchel in England, because it was the first time he was going to see Adam Wharton in the men's senior squad, and Elliot Anderson, who was called up to the senior squad for the first time, full stop. But of course, Adam Wharton withdrew before the camp even started because of an adductor injury. So that starved Thomas Tuchel of that option. And we've also learned today that John Stones has had to leave the camp this morning because of a muscle problem. He's gone back to Manchester City. That's a blow for Tuchel at centre-back, but also for that defensive midfield role, because something I've been talking about a lot on Sky Sports News for a long time now is the possibility of Tuchel using John Stones as a number 6. And for the first time today, Thomas Tuchel confirmed, yeah, look, I did want to see him at number 6, but I can't do that now because he's left the camp. And bear in mind as well, after this one, England have only 3 more camps, October, November and March, before Thomas Tuchel has to name his World Cup squad. So midfield in particular is looking like a problem for the England manager.
The 4 players compete in central midfield: Jordan, Elliot, Declan and Ruben. They're all very mobile players. There is not like, I think from characteristic, not one like pivotal, classic, deep number 6. It's maybe John Stones, but he left this morning, who fits this characteristic, but it's absolutely no problem. I think the strength of our players is to be mobile. Which is in modern day football more an advantage than a disadvantage, and we have our ideas how we will set up. I will not give it away too early, but hopefully you can see some glimpses of it tomorrow and in Serbia, and from there we go. We have top players, and we will find the right pairing. We will need to be flexible because anything can happen. Someone can be injured, so it's anyway not the moment to make final decisions for the World Cup. The decisions are now made for Andorra and nothing else.
Well, defence maybe a little bit more settled. We heard from Dan Burn on one of the big deadline day sagas just a few minutes ago. The other one perhaps involved Mark Gay, who didn't get his move in the end and remained at Crystal Palace. What did Tuchel have to say about him and his mood?
Well, it reinforced the picture that I think we all get of Mark Gay, that he is a really nice guy, he's very level-headed, he's very calm, he's very professional. And he didn't agitate to get his move from Crystal Palace to Liverpool, and it didn't happen. Alexander Isak agitated in the extreme to get away from Newcastle to get to Liverpool. That worked for him. Johan Wissa did similar at Brentford and got his move as well to Newcastle. So I think everything that we've described about Mark Gay, and when we saw him training on Wednesday, for the first time we'd seen him since that transfer saga, he looked happy, he looked content, he was smiling. And he looked to be getting about his business as he always does on the training field. And that's something I think Thomas Tuchel has seen too.
Yes, of course, we had a chat with him, and he looks absolutely fine. He looks very impressive on the field. He has a couple of very impressive weeks behind him on the sportive side and the performance side. He is the main driver of Crystal Palace's success. He's the captain and the leader, and played very, very impressive in the end of last season and in the start of this season, and continued exactly like this in camp. So it was very impressive. He handles it with respect and with grace and with brilliant attitude.
So that was Thomas Tuchel talking about Mark Gay. The interesting fact here is that we don't expect Mark Gay to start for England against Andorra at Villa Park tomorrow because, as we've already established, Dan Burn was in the news conference, which is always a sure sign that the FA have put up somebody who they expect to be in the starting 11 tomorrow. Not always the case, and Thomas Tuchel does name his starting 11 very, very late and tells the players only after lunch normally on match day. So it could change, but as things stand, it looks like it'll be Dan Burn. And the interesting thing is that Tuchel has also confirmed today that he divides his centre-backs up in his thinking to left-sided centre-backs and right-sided centre-backs. So he said it's Dan Burn versus Mark Gay on the left, and it's obviously Ezri Konsa and Jarrell Quansah competing for a place on the right-hand side of defence. So it'll be really interesting to see who it is that partners Dan Burn tomorrow against Andorra. And by the way, if Konsa and Quansah both ever start on England pitch together, I'm giving up my job because that's going to be an absolute nightmare. We'll see them both training with England a little bit later on today. 3:30, England's senior squad training here at St George's Park, live on Sky Sports News.
Yeah, good luck for the commentator on that day. Thanks very much, Rob.